Hello everyone, it's Seth, probably better known as Saffron Olive from MTGGoldfish.com, and we're back here today with another edition of Against the Odds. So on last week's Against the Odds poll, Kiora, Master of the Depths, came out the clear-cut winner, far ahead of the other options. Coming in second and third were Eater of Days and Shadowborn Apostle, both for Modern. So those will be back on our next poll, which isn't taking place this week. Next week, we have a very special holiday special edition of Against the Odds. So no poll this week. The poll will be back the following week, and Eater of Days and Shadowborn Apostle will both be on it. But today, we are against the oddsing with Kiora. So before we break down the deck, I gotta say, this was a tough one. So here's the thing, when I started doing Against the Odds, one of the rules I set for myself is that I wouldn't take the Against the Odds card and just stick it in a known deck. That didn't seem right to me. Like, yeah, you could stick a lot of the cards that went on Against the Odds in Abzan or some other tier 1 deck, play a slightly worse version of Abzan, but still, oh, I played the card. So that's not what we're about here. We're about trying new things and different things and exciting things, even if we gotta lose a lot to get there. So I think the best deck you could put Kiora in is a Dragons deck. Like basically a Dragon control deck built around counter spells and removal, Dragonlord Ojutai, maybe some other dragons, and just use her like a value card. If I draw her, that's great. I get to like fuel my digs by taking it down or untap my stuff. I think that's the most competitive deck, but that is a real deck. So obviously we're not going to do that for Against the Odds. It's not in the spirit of the series. However, as I was playing this Against the Odds deck, I got really curious about how Kiora would play out in a deck like that. So I've included a couple bonus videos of a Dragon control deck featuring Kiora that you can find at the end of the article. That's, I think, the more competitive Kiora deck, but it's not nearly as exciting or as Against the Odds as what we're playing today. So first off, let's talk about Kiora, then we'll talk about the rest of the deck. Kiora's a Planeswalker, 2 a green and a blue, you get 4 loyalty. It has a +1 where you can untap 1 creature in 1 land. Has a -2 where you can reveal the top 4 cards of your library. You can put a land and or a creature into your hand and the rest go to the graveyard. So you can take a land, you can take a creature, or you can take a land and a creature. And then -8, the ultimate. You get an emblem where whenever a creature enters the battlefield under your control, you may have it fight another target creature. And then you put 3 8/8 blue octopus creature tokens onto the battlefield. So you get this emblem, then you immediately get 3 huge creatures that can fight your opponent's biggest creatures, and then you probably just win the game with the octopuses. So that's what Kiora does. We are looking to abuse especially her +1 ability in this deck, and I don't know if you saw it coming or not, but let me direct your eyes down to the bottom right of our screen. We have Wheelbreaker. This is the other key card. This is almost a double Against the Odds. We are a Kiora deck, but we are also very much a Wheelbreaker deck, and they work really well together. So Wheelbreaker is 3 and 2 blue for a 2/3, some pretty horrible stats there, and it has this crazy ability where whenever a creature an opponent controls becomes the target of a spell or ability you control, you gain control of that creature for as long as you control Wheelbreaker. So Kiora's +1, if you remember, it just says you can untap a creature in a land. It doesn't say it has to be a creature you control. So with a Wheelbreaker on the battlefield, we can +1 Kiora and steal any of our opponent's creatures. It's pretty sweet. So we are trying to not only abuse Kiora, but also abuse Wheelbreaker and abuse the combo of them together since they synergize together in a really cool way. The other creatures on this page also work well with Kiora. That's the main reason they're in the deck. Whisper of the Wilds and Rattleclaw Mystic are 2-mana mana dorks, and we can use Kiora's +1 to untap them and generate an additional mana. So it helps us ramp really quickly. Not only do they come down on turn 2 and allow us to play Kiora on turn 3, they give us a lot more mana to work with over the course of the game because we can untap them with our Kiora. Then we have 3 Dragonlord Ojutai. So 5 mana, 5/4 flying. It has hexproof whenever it's untapped, and whenever it deals damage, you get an anticipate trigger. You get to look at the top 3 cards of your library, put 1 in your hand, the rest go to the bottom of your library. So the sweet synergy with Dragonlord Ojutai and Kiora is we can attack with Dragonlord Ojutai. Then after combat, and after getting that Anticipate trigger, we get to untap it with Kiora and make it hexproof again, so it makes our Dragonlord Ojutais really, really, really hard to kill. Basically, you can't kill them with sorcery speed removal. The only way you're going to kill them is if you have like a Murderous Cut or some instant speed removal spell right during our combat step. We have a couple more creatures. These ones aren't necessarily that synergistic with Kiora, but they're still sweet in the deck. Whirler Rogue is pretty cool with Wheelbreaker. That's the main reason I put it in here. It's also sweet because it creates 2 colorless Thopter artifact creature tokens with flying when it enters the battlefield. So it makes a lot of chump blockers, but the real reason it's here is the second ability. You can tap 2 untap artifacts you control, and target creature can't be blocked this turn. So again, notice that doesn't say target creature you control. So with a Wheelbreaker on the battlefield, we can tap those 2 tokens with Whirler Rogue, target one of our opponent's creatures with the can't be blocked this turn ability, and that creature becomes unblockable, but we also take control of it thanks to Wheelbreaker. So it's a way we can steal a creature that also provides additional value in the form of chump blockers and attacking flying threats. And then Dragonlord Damoka. This one doesn't have any special synergy. Basically, it's there because we can use our Mana Dorks plus Kiora to ramp into it really quickly, and then it's just a big flying life-linking threat. So then we have a bunch of different spells. Most of them are just defensive spells to help keep us alive. So we have, in the middle, 2 copies of Negate and 3 copies of Silk Wrap. Negate can counter a non-creature spell, protect our Wheelbreaker, protect our Kiora. Silk Wrap gets rid of an early game creature. Stasis Snare gets rid of any creature. Dig Through Time is a pretty sweet one with Kiora. Dig Through Time, because Kiora is -2, dumps cards into the graveyard, it fuels our digs really fast, and then we can use our digs to find Wheelbreakers or Kioras or whatever else we need. Citadel Siege and Icy Blast both work really well with the Wheelbreaker. Citadel Siege, we can put it on the +2/+2 counter mode, the cons mode, to pump up our creatures if we want. But the sweet thing about it is if we put it on Dragons mode, it says at the beginning of combat, on each opponent's turn, tap target creature that player controls. So that is a repeatable way to target our opponent's creatures and gain control of them with Wheelbreaker. Icy Blast, the idea is we can target all of our opponent's creatures at once with the tap X target creatures ability and just steal our opponent's entire team with Wheelbreaker. So it's only a one of, because that's kind of a magical Christmas land scenario, but it still would be really sweet if it worked out. And then the sideboard, we have 2 Dispels, counters an instant, another way to protect our combo, our Kioras. 2 Disdainful Strokes to counter Siege Rhinos and other big things. 2 Feed the Clans to help out in aggro matchups, gain us a little bit of life. 2 Hallowed Moonlight, they come in mostly against Rally deck. 2 more Negates, again, to protect our spells. Another Silk Wrap, we use that to take care of early game plays. 2 Orbs of Warding. This makes us uncounterable, or untargetable. It gives us hexproof and prevents some damage to us. So this is a way to slow down the game, keeps us from getting hit by Discard or Kolaghan's Command, and it sort of protects our Kiora too, because they can't target us with burn spells and then redirect it to our Planeswalkers. And then finally, 2 copies of Planar Outburst, just a Wrath for go wide creature matchups. So that's the deck. This is Kiora's Will. I don't know what the odds of it winning are. It has some powerful things. Dragonlord Ojutai is really powerful. Kiora can do some cool things. So I think that it can steal some games just based on the power of those cards. But as far as winning with Wheelbreaker and stealing our opponent's creatures, what I expect will happen a lot is that we'll pay 5 mana for Wheelbreaker, and our opponent will just kill it with like an ultimate price for 2 mana, and we just like completely tempoed ourselves out of the game. But those are the risks we take on Against the Odds to make some cool things happen. So I'm hopeful that in at least some matches we'll get to steal some creatures and maybe do some cool things with them. But we'll see how it goes. I'm thinking we might win maybe maybe 25% of the time, maybe 30% of the time, Dragonlord Ojutai is pretty powerful, and I think we can win some matches just from that. So, anyway, I think it's a fun deck. Like I said, if you want to see the Dragon control, like a very typical Dragon control list that's featuring Kiora, make sure to check out the bonus videos that I've put in the article. And make sure to head to mtggoldfish.com where you find the article for this Against the Odds. You will find all my other articles, tons of great content from other people, decks, prices, the metagame strategy, pretty much everything and anything you could want related to Magic the Gathering. And if you enjoyed the video, make sure to click the subscribe button that's about to pop up on the bottom of your screen. It keeps you up to date on all the latest and greatest in video content from mtggoldfish.com, and it does us a huge favor. So I hope you enjoy the Cures Wills Against the Odd videos. Thank you all for watching, and I will talk to you soon.